السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري ويشرك في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. Your turn.
Okay. We are reading Seedbed of the Light, the third treatise, page number 54 on the book and 8 for us. And we're going to start with the second bullet point. The Creator manifests in these decaying mansions, perishable grounds, and transitory places of exhibition the works and traces of his wisdom, favor, justice, and mercy. Anyone with a discernment must conclude that one cannot find a more perfect wisdom, a more liberal favor, compassing mercy, and a more glorious justice than his.
What attracts your attention in this paragraph?
Two things, right? And I'll do that. So one of them is the concept of decaying, like something which is transitory. So the decaying mansions and the perishable grounds, for me, it's like pretty much the foundations as well as what is built on those foundations is temporary in its in a sense, but at the same time, it's like an exhibition. So it's kind of like it's meant to showcase some wisdom in it. Now, when the author says his wisdom, so that means it's something. It has to be or must be something greater than what I am just observing on the superficial side.
Now, decay part was, of course, interesting, and we have to pay attention to it. But the reality that the things are created in this world in this fashion demonstrates that this world is only an exhibition hall. That's why it is decaying. They have decaying nature, not because the creator, maker, couldn't make it permanent. How do we know that? Any answer?
How do we know that the creator couldn't make it permanent?
Yeah. Not because the creator couldn't make it permanent. That is why this universe is in this form, in the nature of decaying. Then we conclude that if we are sure that the creator of the universe is able to do and to create something with a nature which is not decaying, if we are sure about it, then we will understand that the transient nature of this world, as you emphasized on it, the decaying nature of this world makes it into an exhibition hall. Because temporarily presented here, do you follow me or no? Temporarily followed here, demonstrated here, not because the maker, the creator couldn't make it, but because of some other reasons. That's why we see that it is an exhibition hall. like the fair. You know, they have the manufacturers' fair, industrial fair. You go there, they present their productions for 2 days, when at the most 1 week, and then take it away. Well, we have to understand that we have to study whether these productions were made only for 1 week, because they exhibited for 1 week, or just it is a manifest, it is an exhibition hall. It means displaying what they have, but they have the source. How do we know? How do we know that they, in the example of the industrial fair, how do we know that they have more? How do we know that their source has more and more permanent than what they present in the fair? How do we know that?
Through observing that it is recreated, because that implies something, but through observing that after its transient nature, once we see it finished, it yet then appears again. So it's like a cycle.
But in the exhibition hall, in the fair, we don't see it. You know, in the fair, we go there, they are there at the most for 1 week, temporarily, whatever, it's 1 week, 1 month, it doesn't matter. As long as it is temporary, it is temporary. So, and then they take the fair is completely, if you like, destroyed. Emptied.
Right.
How do we know that the producers of these productions did not make this production only for a temporary base, but they have permanent sources?
So if I may, I understand it's slightly different. Using the same analogy of the exhibition, I view it as once it's finished, then there's another exhibition.
No, but
Well,
this is an analogy. Sorry, because when we come to this world, we see that something is demonstrated and something else demonstrated. But as far as our life is concerned, when we die, we are done. Yeah, I'm likening it. You are likening it for the repetition of the exhibition hall. I am using the analogy for me, for myself. You are right. You are not wrong. For myself, I come here, experience a temporary life, die, and no one can see me anymore in this world. Let's apply it to this.
If they're able to make the sample, then they can make and repeat it and make it in quantity.
Yeah, getting closer. How do we know that the producers are able to have this longer than, more permanent than what they exhibited in the fair?
Because I got to experience, they come to the fair with the objects so we can interact, experience it.
Yeah.
If they just described it without it physically being there, then I should not believe that there's more to come. But if it's physically there and I see it and I like it or appreciate it, then it's safe to assume that if they can make one or a few, that they could make multiples of it.
Yeah, 85%, 90%, getting closer.
Through
I
the
want to make it clear.
through the display in the exhibition hall, my interaction with the favors or the display of the favors and the mercy makes me feel like it's almost like this display is directly speaking to my needs for seeing this all the time and having it all the time. So it's almost like the display is to talk to my feelings about a promise.
Yeah, it is an interaction. I'm summarizing now. It is an interaction between what is exhibited in the fair and what the people who come there, the visitors or observers, are expecting from it. So study what is exhibited in the fair and see that by examining, that's why I said 85% is closer to the to my understanding. What is, when we examine the objects or productions exhibited there, the quality of the products shows that their maker, whoever has produced it, is able to produce more. Not only the productions which last for 1 week. That's why we have to study the production. And also, since we are invited to the exhibition hall or fair, we like the things, we want to have them, buy them, but they say no. They don't sell it. Why do they exhibit that? No, fill in the order form. This is a very striking example for me. I used it on several occasions. They say, no, you cannot take it. This is for exhibition only. If you want, fill in the order form, we will send it to you. But of course, if I want, but there are two attitudes. One attitude is, but 1 week later you will take everything away and I won't have anything. I don't trust you. An attitude. Those people who think that this universe is an exhibition hall, not even they may not say that it's an exhibition hall. When I die, everything will gone. No, they don't fill in the order form. Yeah. But those people who study the production and look at them, they are not for a week. They are not made for a week. The engineering, the production, the quality of the production demonstrates that they are able to produce more. And this work spent on the productions cannot be for 1 week, and they are able to do so. What they do, they trust. Not trust the word. No. Trust the fact in the fact that they are observing in the quality of the production. I think this paragraph is emphasizing on it. In the quality of the production, saying that definitely these people can produce more. And some people come, the exhibitors, I would call these exhibitors in real world messengers. Trust in the producers, makers, producers. Look at the production. They are promising you, that's why they exhibit it. They are promising you that if you want, we will give you. And we want. Those people who come to the fair, that's why they come there. We like it, and I want this. The form, it means ask the producer to give you the proper or the productions to use it as long as you want. Got it? Now, human needs are, I think you emphasized on this, human needs are created or made in such a way that I want it permanently, with no defect, no decay. Okay, fill in the form. They can do it. But step one, study, examine the quality of the production. Step two, why are they exhibited? Why am I invited there? I didn't come here. They brought me here. This is what I mean? I'm tying up the example to real life. They brought me here, and my feelings are given to me from my creation, from my birth, and I want it permanently. Okay, they say, yeah, that's why we are exhibiting it, showing it.
Doctor, why, in your analogy, why is transience not seen as a manufacturing defect?
Manufacturing defect?
Yes, so I
Or
see
Lucas?
I see the product and I say, okay, well, this is beautiful, but I see it's, to use this word, it's decaying. So I don't really like it.
Yeah, but
You
you
see?
want it. But
I
it's
want
an
it, but I don't want it
exhibition
to
hall.
decay.
The original one.
Original.
Yeah, that is why we have to look at the production and see whether the producers are able to make it permanent and your desire. So don't get the thing as they want on the spot, but want it permanently to satisfy your needs. And because we have to understand that we didn't go to the fair as we wanted. Let's go to the fair and say, no, we are brought. We are created in the fair, and see whether I will fill in the form or not. I will trust the producers or not. And educate myself. I want permanent, eternal satisfaction. But this is just an exhibition hall. By studying the production, the production itself, I have to come to the conclusion that the producers are wise, one, and they are deliberately, consciously making the things attractive for me. It means they really want me to, they are really pursuing me to want more eternally. They are so attractive. We love them, don't we? Everything created. And justice. I'm going over the words here. Justice. Do you think these people, using the analogy here, do you think these people presented them to human beings, and the human beings are automatically in the fair? We are in the universe. Fair is the universe. And our emotions are excited, motivated to get more, and they are not giving it permanently. Do you think that there is a sign that the producers are really exhibiting, displaying the productions, and making me desire it and not giving it, torturing me? Is there any sign that the purpose of the existence of me and my creation is just to torture me? Why? If the maker, the creator of this universe was going to torture me, why would he invite me here? Why would we give me existence, give me the desire for it. Wow, there is no reason. And I see that the mercy, it means in the quality of the productions, everything is adjusted, appropriate to the needs of human beings. Do you follow me? Am I clear? Appropriate to human needs. Why should is there any reason I should conclude? I would conclude that they are just. This is a very cold and bad joke. Is there any reason? Look at the universe. Look at yourself. Look at your relationship with the others. The existence, the creation is a bad joke. Is there no reason? Everything is perfectly, wisely created, and the other beings are perfectly adjusted to the conditions of this conditions of their existence. Only one thing, we keep emphasizing on it. Only one thing seems to fit. Human desire for eternal happiness, to get them permanently. This is not given here. Everything is perfectly adjusted. We should understand that we are conscious beings, that we are expected to make reason out of this quality of this creation, and understand that this is a temporary place to exhibit. Yes.
How do we confirm the use of the adjective perfect in describing the creation? You use the word perfectly created, perfectly organized, with wisdom. Where does that confirmation come from? You know, we are here with the ability to understand and see with the skills and perception we've been created to have, but perfect implies something very specific. How do we confirm that this is perfect as opposed to very excellent?
Yeah. This is mostly a very frequent asked question by most people. The paragraph is this. One, I'm reading, if you like, you read it.
Which one? The same one?
Anyone with a discernment.
Anyone with a discernment must conclude that one cannot find a more perfect wisdom, a more liberal favor, a more encompassing mercy, and a more glorious justice than his.
Justice than his. His means.
Right.
Okay. Whoever created this. Now, perfection is of course, is an abstract notion. I agree with it. I underlined it and I wanted it. It was a great question, and I was going into it. Yeah, thank you. So, look, perfection is, as you say, synthetic to human nature. Yes. We cannot make a comparison between something and another, one object and another, and we can say this is better, but we cannot say this is the perfect one. Now, what we understand in this word, how I understood it, and I wanted to discuss this matter right now, actually, now this is the right step now. I am responsible within my capacity. I can think of within my capacity. I have to say, since I cannot think of a better form relative to my capacity, following me, it's very sensitive words here. Relative to my capacity, I cannot make a thing any better. It is relative to my capacity, it is perfect. I have to conclude that it is perfect, but I have no right in any subject, not only in this matter, to claim anything absolute. It must be perfect, because I have no capacity to do that. But all this absolute, perfect, this kind of language is relative to human capacity. I can challenge myself, but you can challenge yourself as well. Look at the universe, look at the way it is created, look at the way how it functions. Can you think of any better creation? But we have to admit that it is relative to human qualities. Why? We are, without thinking, when we come to a conclusion, we tend to make a claim that this is the absolute truth, if we don't seriously reflect on it. This is the absolute truth, especially those people who believe in God. They tend to claim that they have found the absolute truth in its own reality. But we should know that we cannot. Our capacity doesn't allow us to speak in absolute terms. What we can do, only we can speak within our own capacity. I cannot think of a better form of the universe. I admire it. I cannot say that if the atoms were created in such a manner, would be better, but it is not. If I was the creator, I would do it in this way. We cannot imagine this. We find everything complete, perfect, within the conditions of the universe as we observe it, according to me. We have to understand this. Absolutism, for a human being to speak in terms of absolutism is not real. It is just a claim. We tend to do that, but we don't realize, but it is very easy to make the distinction between real absolute or relative absolute to my capacity. Now, what I say, for example, I don't claim that I have discovered the nature of the creator. I can never claim that I came to know the essence of the creator. What I know, using my own human capacities, observe the world and see this universe must have a conscious creator. This creator must be wise because of the result of my investigations in the productions. Must be wise, must be merciful, and adjusting everything perfectly in the creation. Don't go into the things that we don't like and is created saying that God is not just. This is very simplistic. Look at the creation. Is there any injustice in the existence of an atom, a particle that we can observe and say that no, particle should be like this or atom should be like this? Cells for the living beings, especially people study them carefully. If the cells were functioning in this way, would be better. So, if I was the creator, I would make it in this way. Can anyone in the world claim this? But with a prejudice, with a biased attitude, they can say, if I was the creator, I would create the cell without any nature which makes it decay. But we have to understand that this is an exhibition hall. So it will decay, and that's why we are here, actually, to train ourselves, to get to know the quality of the creator. So ask this creator to make it a permanent existence for me. That's why we conclude that resurrection must happen. From this contradiction, we emphasized on it on many occasions. Now, further questions? Okay.
So-
Otherwise, afterwards, you two. Yeah.
So to follow up on this then, I understand now that perfection is relative to our own capacity to understand.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Within the dimension of understanding how this universe is perfect, you can never prove if I designed a cell, it would be more perfect. By definition, if there is one creator, you can never prove if I did something because it is all created. There is nothing, you can never prove this.
But at
So
the
then-
same time, you cannot imagine a more perfect form of it
Sure.
within human capacity. Yeah.
So then that takes me to the next kind of landing point in this stream of logic, which is how much of this is rationally deducting that the universe around us is perfect as opposed to learning to find the perfection in the universe around us.
Yeah.
So starting from the premise that there is a creator and the creator is perfect, then is the exercise not, I couldn't think up a more perfect day or a perfect assembly of people, but rather this assembly of people or this day is perfect because the creator created it. So the logical thinking goes the other way. Let me find the perfection because it is from the perfect creator.
We learn perfection from where? Not going back to the creator. How do we develop the sense of perfection? How do we understand this concept of perception? Where do we learn it? Where do we learn it? This capacity is given in our creation. But someone will say, how do we know there may be another better universe? I have no experience that. I have no responsibility for it. I cannot speculate on something which has no reality. I am here to look at the pencil, right? And adjust my relationship with the pencil in such a way that this is made by a conscious being, and this conscious being knows that I'm going to use it and try to make it in the perfect way. But of course, it's a human made, so we can compare with another. But we cannot compare the universe with another. So that's why we have to suffice ourselves saying that this is the only pencil, and I know that this is perfect in its existence. But do you desire, that is our subject, is resurrection, need for resurrection, logical necessity of resurrection. That is human, it is within the human desires that these things should be permanent and not, wouldn't have any transient nature as it is here. That is our desire. Can you imagine another creation while we are here in this world, which is possible for us to think of? Only what we do, it must be in the form of eternal form.
But why even go through that exercise if we start from a premise that there's a creator who is perfect? I don't need to concern myself with other possibilities because I know there is one. So this is back to the questions. The exercise, I think what I'm learning here is not can I think up something more perfect, but rather let me find the perfection in this, given that I know it is perfect, and reconcile my perception and feelings and emotions to the perfection that is around.
So the perfection of the Creator is our conclusion. This is what I mean. Don't take it for granted. It is, the one who made this universe as it is, can make it permanently as well. That's why we have to study the productions exhibited, displayed in the fair. Can they produce more? Can they make it, not only the 2 or 3 samples they present in the display. If they make this, they can make it 100 of them, 1,000 of them. Can we conclude about this? That is the point of this paragraph. Can the producer of this universe make it permanent? Is he powerful enough? Is he knowledgeable enough? Is he wise enough? Think about it within your capacity. I think about it within my capacity. Again, I have to come back to the very often repeated phrase, I am responsible for my conclusion within my capacity. I have to be honest. I say, believe in God. I keep repeating this verse. You must become very familiar with it. Belief in God is not contradicting yourself. Yourself, look, not in reality what it is. I don't know. I'm not responsible for it. What I know, I am responsible for what I know. Belief means not contradicting yourself. Don't be honest to yourself. Yeah, I know that this is made. I know that this is prepared for me. But I want it permanently. Can the one who made this one make it permanent as well? Let me examine it. If you conclude that the creator of this universe is an absolute power, otherwise he wouldn't be able to create it. The creator of this universe has absolute knowledge, otherwise he wouldn't be able to know everything at the same time and continuously renewing it with no contradiction. Look at the creation. Don't confuse again with it. With the subjects that are simple-minded people go there. There are some calamities. I don't understand. That's your problem. You don't understand. Think about them. The purpose of this creation. It's a temporary place, teaching you who you are, who the creator is. So this is an education. This is a training. Not because we have to understand that calamities happen not because the creator is not able to keep it right. Study the calamities. They are perfectly consciously designed. So when I am ill, for example, my creator couldn't make it perfect. No, it is, we know that from our own experience, we know that my illness within the conditions of the order of this universe is deliberately adjusted. Not because he couldn't give me the best health that I desire, because when I am ill, you are not ill. My creator is your creator. This is the universe, is the production of the same creator. So he demonstrates that somebody is dying, but another is newly created. It means, it is not lack of the power, lack of the capacity to keep the human life permanently. No, he is the source of life. He is the source of existence. We conclude this from the creation. So I can see that I am dying and another person is being newly created. It is not the lack of something in the quality of the maker. So I have to make reason, I have this consciousness, I have to use my power of reasoning and say, since he is able to do that, why he's not doing that? He's the source of life. Not because we are dying, this generation is dying because there is no more in supply. Yeah? But the new generations are coming continuously. No, there is. So I have to think of the wisdom. We emphasize on the importance of paying attention to the human desires and the nature of this creation. This contradiction makes the case logically understandable that there is a deliberate action going on here, demonstration, teaching me to fill in the order form. And educate yourself, train yourself. That's why we are here. Yes. Too late.
It's not necessarily too late. It's okay. Yeah. I think that when you were asking, can somebody claim that when they observe the universe that there can be something more perfect or something that is better? And immediately I would say, well, somebody wants to be, live forever. But when you really look at it first, you understand you have this feeling. You observe the universe, everything from the small parts to everything that's bigger. You find that they all, because our sense of perfection, for me, is like there's something better, there's something more you can do that's even better. But when you look at everything around you, everything's performing precisely to how they're made. So the cells, everything is exactly performing at 100% level, as far as I understand it. And so if everything is part of the universe, it means that I too am performing in the same way. That I am created perfectly, but how is this so when there's this contradiction with that I have this need for something that's not here? And so I think that will lead to the necessity of resurrection.
This is why we need messengers in the exhibition hall to present the productions to us and tell us that, that the maker of this one can produce more, huh? Study it, and now you are here. They say, fill in the form. They teach us that. The manufacturer employed these people, they call it salesman or representative of the company, whatever the name, the title they use, representatives, employs that, the manufacturer employs them to tell the people, if they want, we have more. Just they have to fill in the form. Fill in the form means don't be arrogant, saying, look at these people who made it and only for 1 week. Don't study them. Be honest. Be honest. Study them. Are they made only for 1 week? How will the quality of the things shows that the maker can make it more and longer. For 1 week, demonstrate it and take it away. The representative, in this case, the reality points to the reality that messengers say there is a creator who is able to do that, and if you want, just don't be arrogant. Don't accuse the maker, saying that he made it a nasty thing. Don't accuse the maker. He can make it, study the universe, you can see, and fill in the form. It means, yeah, my maker, the maker of these productions, can give, and gave me the desire to give them permanently. Why shouldn't I? Yeah, I expect him to give it, and I cannot do it. I cannot make it, but the maker of me and maker of the universe can do it. That is belief. And act accordingly. Don't be free, come to the fair and try to grasp the things and appropriate them to yourself, and you cannot do that. They wouldn't allow you anyways. They will take it away from you. Don't be aggressive. Did you want to say something, Tariq, long ago?
Well, I just wanted to ask you, just going back to Samir's point about, so is it okay to say that when we conclude from the observation of the universe that the creator must be absolute, is it then okay, or it's not like a decrease in belief or whatever, to say that he is absolute as far as or relative to my capacity to understand absolute? I cannot imagine someone who's more powerful, so this must be the absolute powerful one. Because
Within my capacity.
within my capacity.
So I'm responsible.
And that's what I'm responsible for.
I'm responsible for my capacity.
Right.
For example, let's speak about the subject in terms of religious knowledge or concepts. If I am made in this way, and if I cannot go further than this, and if it would be a defect in my creation, it is not my responsibility. It is the responsibility of the creator. You didn't give me the ability to do that. So this is the dialogue the human beings develop within their own imaginary world. So it makes sense to me to conclude that however I am made, I'm responsible within my own capacity. For example, can you make a student, it's an analogy, don't take it in absolute terms. Can you make a student who is in the primary school or let's say middle school responsible for to give an answer to a question which is prepared for university or the college education? So do you see the justice there at all? It is unwise, and there is nothing in this world that is not wise. So the maker of this universe is wise, and I expect the maker to treat me in a wise way. He gave me this capacity. I'm responsible within this capacity. That's why, as far as my capacity allows me, this is the perfect universe. And as far as within my own capacity allows me to conclude, the maker should be absolute. But I'm not expected to define absolute, to know the essence of absolute. I'm a made being. That's how I am made. It is not a lack of something. It is my reality, how I am made. Speaking in terms of religion, in terms of the scriptural news, the message, we are created beings. We cannot be absolute. We cannot know the essence of absolute as created beings. I'm not saying limited, created beings. A created being cannot experience absolute world. Otherwise, he would be an absolute, a part of the absolute, which is impossible because you cannot be a part of the absolute. It is illogical. So the problem, if there is a problem, as far as I am concerned, I have no problem. But some people see it as a problem. Some unbelievers are aside. They have their own problems. But those people who believe, they say, I am absolutely convinced that God exists and is perfect. You see what I mean? Now, the way they claim it, they claim this sounds, whether they are aware of it or not, that is another problem, but mostly they are not. Sounds as if they are claiming absolute. And those people who think without really jumping into the conclusion, they know that human capacity cannot claim absolute. And you and I also think that I know that I cannot comprehend absolute. Every day it is my problem. Not a problem, it is my reality. I admit this. I cannot know absolute. I cannot know God. In Islamic tradition, what they say, in the form of a prayer, we glorify you in a way that is not appropriate to your glory. Yeah. بمعرفتك يا معروف. No, we glorify you, it means admit and declare your perfection in a way that it is not appropriate your real perfection.
That it's only a function of our capacity. We can only glorify the extent that we've been given an ability to glorify, which is lesser than the universal perfect.
But we know that being sure of the existence of the perfection, does not give me or legitimize my claim that I know the essence of perfection. I must admit that. This is what my reality is. If you know this, when you speak like this, you cannot say that God absolutely, this is absolute that God exists. You say, I am absolutely sure within myself that there must be a creator. That's my conclusion. Look, my conclusion. Be careful with the language. This is my conclusion. That's why if someone says, God is wise, I say, don't speak like this. Say, God must be wise. What is the difference? Why do we emphasize on the importance of this language? Must be means, my conclusion, is means in its essence, which is not real. So that's why we should know when we are speaking. Of course, we shouldn't really imitate the scripture. Scripture says, I am absolute. But what is expected of me to conclude that the creator must be absolute? Do you see what I mean? So confirm the scripture. The scripture says, I am absolute. Yeah, that's my conclusion. I'm happy with you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to take this too long, but so just so that I understand, the scripture says I am absolute. My responsibility, because you just said that I cannot define absolute as a limited created being.
Yeah.
If I cannot define absolute, then how come can I call something absolute? I don't know what absolute is.
That's why pay attention to it. Scripture says I am absolute. I cannot say he is absolute. I only say he must be absolute. I'm responsible for within my own capacity. I agree with this according to my capacity. So can you replace for example, replace the scripture? That's why people, this is a fine point. Anyway, historically also scholarship was so great on the subject. There were many confusions. That is why the scriptures cannot be replaceable, cannot be imitable. This is what I mean? Because human beings cannot speak in terms of absolute. That is why the scriptures, they say it is inimitable, which means not created. Do you see what I mean? But some people couldn't grasp that. Couldn't really go into the foundations of this understanding of the nature of God's qualities. They claimed as if they found it. And they said scriptures are created. This is what I mean? Because they couldn't imagine the relationship between God's perspective of presenting the subject, human perspective of responding to the subject. My responsibility is to respond back to the reality that whatever I see in this world within my capacity. For example, this very simple example came to my mind now. Very simple, very often repeated example. Of course, in order to understand the subject, these examples must be simple. Your mother prepared the food for you, and you came and found ready food for you. What do you say? Is compassionate and loves me. Yeah. How do you know? Have you went into the mind and heart and feelings of your mother? How do you know? He is compassionate. He is loving. How do you know? Tell me. One of them. One of you.
Through the act or the fact that there's food which is made available for me, and even though it was not like it's not really her kind of job, or like she just did it out of some reason. And then
I do not understand the last one. But very simple. Put it very simple. I examined action as it is manifested and conclude that my mother must have compassion. It's an example. Okay. Very simple. If you have never experienced the manifestation of the compassion, can you say, my mother is compassionate? Never experienced anything. You have never seen her doing something. That's why we need to study the universe. We need to study the action. But conclusion is, my mother must have compassion. Look at the language. How did you know? There's no way to know other than after she demonstrates it in the form of action. In many ways, maybe language, maybe presentation, behavior, whatever. So we cannot say that I have perceived the real compassion in the existence of my mother. No. You have to go through action. That is how we are. That is why universe exists. It is a very simple example, but explains everything that human asks. Okay, somebody, would you like?
Yes. So, if someone is just the point of going back to the point of compassion, of experiencing compassion. If it is along the same line of reasoning, if we don't experience compassion, and our conclusion is that person is not our mother. If our mother does not provide us with the food or she makes us sick, or all these things, then my conclusion is going to be, well, she's not compassionate,
No,
right?
that
So
is-
this is a problem, right? I mean,
No. That's very simplistic. I'm sorry. Very simplistic. Very simplistic. Look at the universe. Look at your desires and look at the wisdom in its creation. Sometimes, don't you think that, for example, if the child is ill, needs some sort of special treatment, don't you give him, her very soury, not tasty medicine? Don't you, for example, say, oh, she has diarrhea, I'm not going to give her any more this kind of food? For example, we have to see the wisdom in the creation. But we mentioned this. When we see that we are ill, we are not giving some food, we observe in the action, we have to study the reality, pay attention to it, not because my mother is not compassionate. Her wisdom requires that I should not have this food today, because I need it. We should never forget that the purpose of our being here to training. That is why we desire absolute, and there is no absolute in this world. We desire eternity. It is better. Absolute was a wrong word. Delete it. So, eternity, there is no eternity in this world. Don't you see that this is a way of education that we have to fill in the order for? That is how that is the way we should educate our feelings, that we are created beings and we have a creator, and this creator is wisely training me to teach me that I am a created one. He is the creator. I'm not absolute. I cannot guarantee anything. That's how I learn it. So we have to understand that the nature of this existence is a training place, education place. So everybody will study, everybody will examine the reality, and accordingly they will graduate from this world.
Your analogy, filling in the form. I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. Does this mean filling in the form? Does this mean that we conclude that resurrection exists? Is that accurate?
Resurrection must exist.
Must exist.
No, not the resurrection exists is the message says. But we conclude that it must exist from the wisdom of the creation that I observe in this world. That is my conclusion. That's why this life is a training place, and there must be because this is this paragraph doesn't have it. This is a promise. This is a promise. This universe, as the example we used in the form of a fair is what? A promise. Saying, if you want, I can make it. I can send it to you. But the fair, of course, we know that they ask for money. But the universe is free. Look, we haven't paid anything, neither for the existence of the universe, for our own existence. Right?
Yeah.
Free. So fill in the form, finish. You don't have to pay anything.
So filling in the form it's a logical conclusion, but it's also based on trust that you observed or studied, examined everything around you, and you feel so confident I must be able to just fill out this sort of form.
Not a baseless trust, huh?
No.
No, I trust you. Okay. but I don't know whether you can do it or not. But studying the production, we know that they care. So this trust is based on action. That is why if I don't see my mother acting in a compassionate way, for me, there is no way that my mother is or has compassion or she is compassionate. No way. Because it's very important this. We cannot know the qualities of human beings unless they are manifested, displayed. We cannot know the quality of the Creator unless he demonstrated. He acted out. The universe is, that's why we are here in the universe. So our responsibility is confined to the action of this universe. We have to understand this. So we look at the universe, we examine the universe and come to a conclusion within our own capacity. We cannot say that I don't know whether my mother is compassionate or not after seeing the actions. And I have the ability, I am given the ability to appreciate what is compassion, what is the opposite of compassion? Cruelty. We know that this is cruelty, this is compassion. So if a person represents or presents, acts out in a cruel way, I say this man is a cruel. It's obvious.
Thank you.
All right, so going back to the understanding this universe as a training ground, or using this universe as a training ground, I'm looking at like two variables. So one is my capacity, which is essentially is my abilities in some sense.
As I am. As I am, but be careful there. I emphasize on it. I'm limited or no, I'm created.
Right.
Limitedness is related to createdness.
Right. So, and the second variable is how much I use my capacity. Right. So if I was to say in an analogy that my capacity, let's say there's a hammer and then there's a nail. My capacity represents the hammer. How much I use that hammer, so will represent how far I can get that nail into the wall.
But we cannot get it absolutely to the very end.
Right.
It's impossible. That is interesting also.
So
It continues to keep you hammering, and you develop better and better and better, but there is no end.
Right. My question is, if I don't have the hammer, let's say I have something more softer, is there a way that I can change the tool rather than just changing how much I use
You
it?
cannot change yourself, your creation. But you can develop it, you can improve it. But this, if I didn't have the hammer, is just imagination. You have the hammer.
Right. So
But the hammer is as much as you are made.
So how do I develop the hammer? Like how do I improve the hammer?
Now, by using the hammer, you develop the ability to use it in a better way. But you cannot change the hammer. It means, for example, if a person has never used, let's say, a hammer or a machine, the first time, what does he do? He messes up. He messes up. And then slowly, but he cannot change the machine. Let me see. This one.
It also seems that it's impossible to know what could be better because you're comparing something else. So from your own capacity,
Yes.
your own feelings, or you know about your hammer, and no way to know for you at all.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like a different hammer, but like
Yeah.
trying to compare, when you say different, if you're trying to compare it to something, and you can't know the essence of someone else's experience.
I got it.
It's like a very personalized object for you. It may be the different.
No. I am not. Yeah. So for the moment, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. I did something. You don't like my tea? Okay. We don't have much time, but we can. Let's read one more paragraph today, and without exceeding the time limit.
Okay.
Comparatively, look, but my capacity said I am limited compared to what? But this is a very dangerous language. Compared to what? You are limited. Your creation is limited. Compared to what? Creator. Can you compare any number with the absolute? This is nonsense. People keep speaking in this way. But you can compare, for example, this pencil with another. No, this is a limited time. Why? Compared to, for example, 5 o'clock p.m. This is what I mean? But when you say, no, we are limited, this is illogical. This is an illogical concept. Limited compared to what? Did you get this question?
It's compared to what your mind can conceive. Like your mind can
No.
conceive of something, but you can't always execute on it.
No, what are you comparing your mindset with?
It's your imagination. You might imagine that you would like to do something, but then you physically cannot do it. So that's
So it is not compared. It is your imagination has no reality.
Well, I think that's what people are saying when they.
So that's imagination. But in fact, what they do, what they mean, we with our limited capacity, it means compared to God's unlimited capacity. It is impossible. You cannot compare any number with infinite. Always, any number compared to infinite will be definitely smaller. Any number. But you cannot compare it. Yeah, its comparison is nonsense, illogical. But you can compare 5 to 740. You can say 5 is limited compared to 740.
Isn't there something incorrect in saying God's unlimited capacity? Because we can only know the Creator by what He has created. By so we can't. Also, we can get into a foggy place where we use our imagination and say, if God wanted to, He would do this, or unlimited. What unlimited quality means.
If God wanted is a nonsense sentence.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a nonsense sentence. So if we agree on it, okay. But if God wanted is a stupid language.
Yeah.
I have to accept my reality as I am, and I am created. Finish. Limited is a baseless language. We are created beings. We cannot compare ourselves with the Creator, because the Creator, by definition, according to my understanding, must be absolute. I'm not absolute. I cannot compare anything with absolute. That's so simple. So this kind of language, flying in the air, used by people, if God wanted, He would have given me health, for example. Why doesn't He give me? Look at because the basis, He wanted, He could have made me healthy now. Why doesn't He make it? Look at, why doesn't He make it? It's a legitimate question, but where it comes from, if He wanted, He could have made me healthy. You cannot speak on behalf of God. You have to analyze your own reality as you are created now. So if I am ill, that is the will of God. Well, I have to look at the wisdom in it by studying that. If I am careful about it, I have to study the existence of health. One point, maybe today I repeated twice, but previous days I always do that. One thing we have to make sure for ourselves that illness or calamities or the things that we don't like, they exist. The things that we don't like, are they the result of the lack of quality of the creator or not? We have to study that. Now, if somebody comes to you with that rotten truth, do you say that the creator couldn't make it perfect? I'm sorry. Do you say that? Not the creator couldn't make it perfect. But because you know that the others are perfect, the people here perfect, they are still created with perfect teeth. What do you say? That is that there is a wisdom in it. You shouldn't eat chocolate. Yeah, you should brush your teeth regularly. And know that you cannot guarantee the existence of teeth. Huh? That is what you are. Yeah, admit it. But you need a perfect teeth, and no one can provide it for you. You can, but the creator can. Admit that. Understand who you are. We have to say every day, or write it. The purpose of existence within the universe is to learn to realize who you are, who the creator is. So simple. Okay, we wanted to read the following now because it is somehow related to this paragraph. So next week we shouldn't repeat ourselves. Okay, go ahead.
For his wisdom, favor, mercy, and justice to be manifested.
Now you understand. Now we studied this. This is the exhibition on code, yeah?
Right.
The in the previous paragraph.
Right.
Okay.
Each with its essential or original truth, the center of his sovereignty must contain permanent lofty abodes.
Must contain, you see, must contain. I appreciate the careful language of the translator. Yeah, must contain, not my content. Yeah?
Everlasting elevated mansions and inhabitants to reside in them eternally. Otherwise, one would.
Eternally, that's what we have been studying. There must be a place, there must be a type of creation where the things must be displayed eternally or given to me because of the desire I have, and the nature of this creation makes me to fill in the form. And the messengers come and say that fill in the form. What is the language in the messenger's tongue or the message? Believe in God. Belief is not, let's trust him. There's no other way. No. Confirmation. Confirm what you can do. Yeah.
Otherwise, one would have to deny this wisdom, favor, mercy, and justice.
Again, this wisdom that we are seeing, this wisdom that manifested here, right? The word this is important. Yeah.
Moreover, the doer of these acts, the owner of these instances of wisdom and munificence, would have to be considered a playful, capricious, an unjust tyrant.
Yeah, the opposite is really true. If there was no resurrection going to happen, this universe is a prison. This universe, for human capacity, is a place of torture, and the maker is the most unjust tyrant. I would go crazy. It's impossible. It is completely against human nature. Say that the creator of this universe is most tyrant, unjust tyrant. I see everything. Look at this. There's no sign that he's tyrant, but sometimes, he gives you 32 teeth. One of them, two of them, rats, because of your neglect or something else, to teach you. It doesn't mean that he's torturing you. Definitely is a place of education. We are being trained. Because he couldn't do it. He couldn't really sustain it, as healthy teeth. But my misbehavior and resulted in a way that I cannot really sustain my teeth. Example. Okay? That's why the opposite is unacceptable. Either the creator of this universe must be most merciful or most unjust tyrant. There's no in between. Why he will create me and then experience everything and then let me go into annihilation and rot. It is impossible. Look at the universe. In between, no. God is mostly merciful, but sometimes crazy. Can you say that if someone is really merciful, sometimes it goes crazy? Your mother, for example, now Eric is holding the baby here. Holding. No, 10 years later, he is going to slaughter her. Can you imagine? Why do you hold them? Why do you take care of her since you are going to slaughter her? Pointless. It is irrational, illogical. Okay, we are about to die. About to be done. Yeah, about to be done.
I think we should make really a lot of sense if you include the part that so let's say you raise something and then you slaughter it, but if the person that's slaughtering cannot benefit, does not need the person to be slaughtered, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make, because we see that he's in need of nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So he is not a butcher. Huh? Butchers need meat. Okay.
This, in turn, would require transforming truths into their opposites, which is inconceivable to those with sound judgment and reasoning, but not to those who, like the sophists, deny.
Yeah, sophists.
Sophists
A certain trend in philosophy.
Deny the existence of everything, including themselves.
Yeah. For example, if you say, my mother, example, going back to our simple example, my mother is not compassionate. What does it mean? You have to deny all what she has done to you. Right? Otherwise, after seeing what she has done to you, you cannot say that she is not compassionate. Or the manifestation, actions. That is why the certain trend in the Greek philosophical tradition, they didn't want to really submit that they are created. What they did, they couldn't say that the God doesn't exist. What they said, the most silly thing, universe doesn't exist. It is just imagination. So when you deny the action, you can deny the actor. This is what I mean? But we have to be careful. We have to be careful that our base for our reasoning to conclude that there must be a creator and this creator must be absolutely wise, knowledgeable, just, merciful. look at the action. If we don't look at the action, we become a sophist. Either in belief or in denial. If someone says, I believe in God, why? Because I feel it in my heart, in my heart, in my heart. Without action. Observing the action, analyzing the action, this is sophistry. Equally true when someone says, I don't believe in God because the universe doesn't exist. The same thing. Do you see what I mean? Without observing and confirming your conclusions through the observation of the action and coming to a conclusion, no one can claim neither belief nor denial. It is not human. But that goes a little bit against the grain of the general culture. The full belief, they say, we believe in God with heart. But people have, how simplistic it may be, people have some sort of observation of the universe and say, oh, this is perfectly done. Look at the universe. They are looking at the action. But it may be simplistic, doesn't matter. But through the action, principle. We are talking about the principle. We are not talking about about judging the people's belief. Principle, through the action. Without demonstration, we cannot know absolute. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة. Thank you, inshallah. Next Thursday, we will have the discussion before Maghrib prayer. So be there. We will try to be there at the late 7 o'clock. We will start straight 7, have a break for Maghrib prayer and continue until we complete an hour and a half class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.